Captain John Hall suffered a medical issue and her vehicle struck a Duquesne light pole. Captain Hall said that they are encouraging all drivers to be cautious when driving on the roadways, especially in that area.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Showers mainly before noon today with a high of 60 degrees. Cloudy overnight tonight with a low down to 42. Tomorrow mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with a high of 56 degrees. For your Friday, partly sunny, high 61. Taking a look at your weekend, Saturday sunny and a high of 64. Then a chance of afternoon rain showers, otherwise partly sunny on Sunday, high up to 66 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is 1230 WBVP. It is 1460 WNBA. It's 99.3 FM. It's 95.7 FM, all presented by St. Barnabas. And it is Jeremy Shaffer. Jeremy Shaffer is joining me in the studio. Also on the Facebook Live feed, Jeremy Shaffer is running for... Forgot to change the name. I've got you listed as Rico Elmore. Jeremy Shaffer. I just looked up. I'm like, oh, that's.
Well, I'm running for U.S. Congress.
You're running for
congressional district. Yeah.
That's always a good sign when the person. Good to see you. 17th District. Jeremy Shaffer is my guest. First question: why do you want to run for office?
Yeah. First, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
No, it's not. You're very polite,
yes.
But go ahead.
Well, look, I am deeply concerned with the direction of our country. I've grown up, I've lived the American dream. I was born very humble means, teenage parents, but I knew that growing up in this country, that I was born in the greatest country in the history of the world, with all of our opportunities and freedoms that we have here, that if I worked hard, I could make something of myself. And that's exactly what I did. I've always had to work hard in my life. I mowed lots of yards through a combination of scholarships and money I did through working, put myself through school, ended up getting a degree from Carnegie Mellon University, a PhD in electrical and computer engineering. I've always been a problem solver and drawn to solve problems. And so my friend and I, we started a small business in our college apartment focused on road and bridge safety. And we grew that business.
Wait, back up. What kind of college kid starts a business to help bridges?
Most
guys will start like, I've got whippets in bulk, and I'll sell you those out the back door. You were always this motivated to be a problem solver.
I am. I was a kid who would play with Legos all day and would love to build things and create things, and always drawn to solve problems. That was lots of math and science problems in school. But I wanted to stay here in Western Pennsylvania. And, I had lots of job offers to move to California and Silicon Valley. But I said, you know what, I want to stay here.
Why?
I love this area. My family has been here for 8 generations. Here in Beaver County, I think I've counted 4 different roads named Shaffer Roads here in Beaver County. And
it's like that's a cousin or that's an aunt or
probably
somebody.
distant cousins.
Okay.
My I don't know how many greats you go back, 8 or 9 greats back. My great grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War here in the Pennsylvania militia, and so my family's been here. We had a little diversion. My grandfather moved down to the D.C. area for a job, like so many people in Western Pennsylvania. When the jobs left, they went elsewhere. I'm proud to be coming back home here, and I created a company here that created 40 jobs all in Western Pennsylvania, and I was able to stay here and raising my family here. And I love it. It's one of the best places in the world to raise a family. The outdoors are beautiful. The people are tremendous. The spirit that we have in Western Pennsylvania to work together, to solve problems and get things done. I absolutely love it here.
You talk about solving problems. As an engineer, solving a math problem is difficult. As a congressman, you're not solving a simple right or wrong equation. You're having to deal with lots of different personalities. How hopeful are you that there can be bipartisan cooperation? Because from the outside looking in, I don't see a lot of analytical thinking going on back and forth.
Well, we need people to step up and do exactly that. Our country is tearing itself apart right now. There's extremes on both sides that are really all they're concerned about is being the loudest one in the room, creating division. We need to solve the tough problems. I was a Ross Township commissioner, so Ross Township, McKnight Road area over in Allegheny County, 33,000 people. I registered Republican, ran in a very Democratic area of Ross Township, knocked on every door, was elected in 2013 and again in 2017. And I was elected president of Ross Township, and we have 9 commissioners there, 6 Democrats, 3 Republicans at the time. And I was elected president on a bipartisan majority. So in Ross Township, we work together to be able to get things done, to be able to lead development, to be able to make our community a better place. And you can you can do it. We need to focus on the problems and talk about the solutions. Now, I'll just say this. I'm the type of person that I might come into the room and we might talk about how can we make our roads and bridges better? Or how can we help our police force and reduce crime? My ideas, I might come in with might be A, B, C, and D. And someone else might come in with ideas that are C, D, E, and F. Well, I'm the type of person that says, okay, great, we agree on C and D. Let's get started there and take a step forward. In D.C. right now, what you have is you have people on both sides that say, if I can't get A done, then nothing happens. Or if I can't get F done, then nothing happens. And the country is the loser in that. And so we need to work together. We need a middle out approach to solving these problems.
How sellable is a middle out approach?
You know, I believe when you look at the history of our government, right now we have a Democrat president, Joe Biden. We have Nancy Pelosi, Democrat Speaker of the House, and Chuck Schumer, who's the Democrat leader of the Senate. When you have one party rule from either side, what tends to happen is you have a extreme in approach. So the Democrats start from their extreme left and they cobble together votes to see how many trillions of dollars they can send, how many progressive radical left ideas can they get through. And they do it entirely on Democrat votes. And the extent of how much they can do is really based on that last vote that they need to pass. We've seen that was Joe Manchin lately. So the Democrats wanted to spend $5 trillion, shut down our energy industry, do incredibly bad, harmful things from the progressive left. And that my opponent, Chris Deluzio, supports that. But Joe Manchin said, I'm going to let you do maybe 20% of what you want to do. And so that's what they were able to do. But in a divided government where you might have Joe Biden as president and Republicans in control of the U.S. House, you tend to have what's called a middle out approach. So one of the times that we had that was when Bill Clinton was president. Bill Clinton was the president. We had a Republican Congress. That was the last time we had a balanced budget because they had to come together. They had to agree. They had to prioritize. Neither side got everything they wanted. But in a divided government, which is what I hope we have in the next 2 years, we have to have a middle out approach because this country simply cannot afford another 2 years of Nancy Pelosi as speaker and trillions of dollars of spending and the Green New Deal.
What is Washington, D.C. currently doing well?
Yeah. You know, not too much.
I was
not too much.
You're
going to make me think. But look, I was in favor of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That's something that Democrats and Republicans did come together. There are issues that I had with that. But in general, there are things that sometimes when you're compromising on something, neither side gets everything that they want. So I'm glad that we are going to be investing in our roads and bridges, our physical infrastructure. There are things in the bill I didn't support, but that's one thing I was on the record of doing. But look, right now, I'm 45 years old. There are members serving in Congress in both parties who have been there longer than I have been alive. The system was not designed for this. The system itself is broken, and both parties have broken it. I am a 110% believer in term limits. We need campaign finance reform. We need to end gerrymandering. We have created a system that the members in both parties have used to enrich themselves and their families, that they've turned it into a career instead of a service to the people. And I think one of the issues that we can work on a bipartisan basis, these are not partisan issues. Let's implement term limits. Let's stop excessive gerrymandering. Let's get campaign finance reform so that billionaires in either party just can't write $100 million checks and you get inundated with negative attack ads 24/7.
Jeremy Shaffer is my guest. He is running for Congress in the 17th District. How do you get people to do that? I'm going to come to you and say you need to vote for something that's going to shorten your ability to keep putting money in your pocket. If I'm in charge of my checkbook, that's a difficult, noble but difficult thing to do.
So I would certainly love to get term limits in right away, immediately. But I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to work together and compromise on it. So I have two ideas on how to do it. It would be the first bill that I introduce, and it would be a constitutional amendment for term limits. My idea would be that we grandfathered in so that if you're currently serving, it doesn't affect you. I would term limit myself, so I'm not saying it doesn't affect me. It affects me. But that way that people aren't voting to kick themselves out, but they're voting essentially that when their term is over, it will take effect, because we got to stop digging the hole deeper. The second way that I'm in favor of doing it would be to establish some date. Like term limits take effect, let's just say 8 years from now. So people can serve for another 8 years. Their prior service doesn't count against them. And they can serve for another 8 years, which for most people, if you're 80 some years old and you've been serving in Congress for 47 years, God bless you, but please just retire. And if you need to go and maybe you want to serve another 8 years, the voters will have you do it. But then after that, we're done. But this is something that 80% of Democrats, 80% of independents, like 80, 90% of Republicans support. We should be able to get this done, and the people's voice should be heard on this.
You mentioned a phrase earlier. I think the radical left something. What are some of the radical left talking points that you have the biggest beef with?
Yeah. Well, one of them, I've been endorsed by our local police here in Beaver County. Tony Guy, our Beaver County Sheriff, Dave Lozier, our Beaver County DA, the local Fraternal Order of Police have all endorsed me. It is mind-boggling to me. When I was growing up, I was taught everyone respects the police and supports our police. Now you have a radical left within the Democratic Party that want to defund the police. My opponent, Chris DeLuzio, has been out campaigning with people like Summer Lee, like Congresswoman Jaya Paul from the head of the Progressive Caucus, and those people he's supporting them, and they want to defund our police. We need to support our police. The other thing, they want open borders. My opponent, Chris DeLuzio, has given money to people like AOC. He says Joe Biden is not far enough to the left. And what does the left want? We just set an all-time record. Over 2.7 million people that we know of illegally crossed the border in the past year. That's unacceptable. That's an all-time high. The left wants even bigger open borders. I say that we need 87,000 more Border Patrol agents and police officers, not 87,000 more IRS agents.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Your thoughts about reproductive rights and legislation.
Yeah. Look, my wife's a medical doctor. We talk a lot about women's health and medicine in general. I make no secret that I am pro-life. I favor exceptions for life of the mother, for rape and incest. That's something I've consistently supported. I also believe that this is something that's best left for the states to decide. Prior to Roe v. Wade, it was up to each individual state to decide their policy on abortion. So now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, it goes back to the individual states to do it. My opponent has a radical position. He says he would have supported the Democrat Congress and what they tried to do, which was have taxpayer-funded abortion nationally, all the way to the point of birth. That's something I believe that most people aren't in favor of. I'm a small government Republican. I believe that really you should put the decision-making process and the power back to the states and to the local governments, and that they can decide on those things.
Jeremy Shaffer is running for Congress for the 17th District. He's my guest on Teleforum at 11:23. What did I not ask you that I should have asked you?
Yeah. Look, our national debt just crossed over the $31 trillion mark. People are not talking about the unsustainable financial position that this country is in. We have inflation that's running at almost 10% right now. That means that the government has created a situation in which an entire month of your paycheck, the equivalent of, is just taken away from you by inflation. I'm talking to people in Hopewell Township just the other day. I was talking to people, and they were telling me how the decisions that they're making between, do I get gas for my car? Do I get groceries? How am I going to heat my house this winter? We have heating oil bills that are going up 30, 40%. Natural gas bills are shooting up, which is so frustrating because here in Beaver County, here in Western Pennsylvania, we sit on one of the largest energy reserves in the country. When Joe Biden went over to Saudi Arabia and he fist bumped a foreign dictator a few months ago and begged him to produce more energy. I did a video right here in Beaver County, right in industry, across from the cracker plant. And I talked about how Beaver County, how Western Pennsylvania has a solution that we can safely produce energy here, make America energy dominant, drive inflation down, drive our gas prices down, and we can create tens of thousands of high-paying jobs here in Beaver County. Unfortunately, you have people like George Soros and Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg a few weeks ago announced that he was going to spend $85 million to shut down the industries here in Beaver County. He is the same person who is funding super PAC attack ads against me and supporting my opponent, Chris DeLuzio. So Beaver County has gone through a lot. So many of our families have had to leave Western Pennsylvania for jobs. We need to get Beaver County back on track, and we can be the solution to help power this country forward.
I'm going to sneak in one more question. I'm not picking on anybody, but when you hear about an ad and it's just talking about you like a dog,
yeah.
How thick is the skin do you have to put up with that?
You have to have a pretty thick skin.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. I said earlier, I created a company that created 40 jobs all here in Western Pennsylvania. My company won the Pittsburgh area Western Pennsylvania Business Enterprise Competition because of the work we created in jobs here. And then there's these attack ads against which are completely false and untrue with referencing China. It's just insane. I never had an employee in China. I never even sold software to China with my own company. It's just, unfortunately, they're legally able to lie. And so we're getting our message out there, and we're talking about my true beliefs, and we're getting a great response from voters.
Well, I want to say thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts today, and you're welcome back anytime. Is that all right?
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here, and look forward to talking with you again after the election or even before so.
Jeremy Shaffer, running for the 17th District in Congress on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.
If you drive a car that blends in with all the others in the parking lot and happen to get a ding or a dent from a grocery cart, this message isn't for you. Vintage Torque recently moved their high-end automotive restoration business from Pittsburgh to Beaver Falls. Much like a museum will painstakingly spend countless hours to bring back a famous oil painting to its former glory, Vintage Torque does the same thing for historic automobiles. If your car isn't common, then neither should your repair shop be that way. Vintage Torque does complete start-to-finish automotive restoration projects for the serious investor. Potential clients are now being considered for the future.